The Church's responses to the Enlightenment has, generally speaking, been very weak. If I simplify, there's been two kinds of responses, and both of them have been faulty. The first one was the liberal response, what we today call liberal theology. That was Christians who basically accepted a number of the main aspects of humanism. So they started to reject the supernatural, reject miracles and prophecy and the inspiration of the Bible. But they wanted to retain the Christian language about grace and love and hope. And they transformed the Christian faith into a kind of ethical program of loving your neighbor and giving hope in a dark world. Liberal theology has adjusted Christianity to the convictions of the Enlightenment thinking, and it has been a disaster. It has undermined so much of the churches in Europe. The other response came from the more Bible-believing part, from the evangelicals, from the pietistic movements, and later on from the Pentecostals and the charismatics. And generally speaking, they gave a very different response. They did not want to adjust the Christian faith to the Enlightenment thinking. They wanted to keep the full content of the gospel, but they said, we should not be involved in intellectual questions. We should just preach the gospel and rely on the Holy Spirit. And that's absolutely right. Of course, we should preach the gospel and rely on the Holy Spirit. But it was an enormous mistake to say we should not engage in the intellectual questions, because they left intellectual walkover. And 100 years later, Europe was taken over by secularism. So what should have been done is to have given a well thought out response and challenge to the humanistic thinking of the Enlightenment.